Let's go back to something that happened just moments ago. President William Ruto has fired Public Health Principal Secretary Dr. Josephine Mburu over graft allegations on the donor-funded National Malaria Program. Head of Public Service Felix Koskei, in a signed statement, said that the decision comes following complaints of alleged impropriety within the Kenya Medical Supplies Authority in its management and administration of various medical programs being undertaken by Kenya in conjunction with its development partners. Dr. Mburu has been sent home over a bungled procurement process handled by the Ministry of Health that left the country on the verge of losing a 3.7 billion shillings worth of anti-malaria nets from the Global Fund. Nimrod Tabu with the details of the latest shake-up at KEMSA.
I don't want to speak about it now.
You will see results then?
Yes, you will see results.
Mr. President,
I want to give you my commitment. I will clean up KEMSA. Whatever it takes,
Mr. President,
whatever it costs, I will clean it up.
Dr. Josephine Mburu, a PhD holder, is the first accounting officer in the Kenya Kwanza government to be fired by the head of state. Dr. Mburu was among 51 Kenyans appointed to the position of permanent secretary and was the accounting officer at the Ministry of Health, headed by Susan Wafula Nakumicha. Mburu's appointment was terminated by President Ruto after a meeting at State House comprising Ministry of Health officials, Treasury and Public Service Commission. This as Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission detectives moved in to launch investigations into the alleged irregularities in the tender process at KEMSA. Speaking at Afya House after a meeting with the Council of Governors, CS Nakumicha said that the probe by the detectives will unravel whether funds were lost in the tendering scam.
In terms of loss of funds, not as yet, except of course the cost of advertising for a tender, the cost of staff having to sit and do an evaluation, just the administrative cost. But in terms of actual value of money lost, not yet, because the tender was now going to be awarded. So maybe at the point of award is when we can speak about loss of funds. However, it taints and portrays weaknesses in our systems.
CS Nakumicha says she is yet to learn whether Dr. Mburu was directly involved in the scandal and what her role was.
Specifically, I wouldn't tell whether she was involved or not, but as principal secretaries, they are the accounting officers of the ministry. So it is expected that, of course, in their day-to-day, then they are expected to interact with the institutions when it comes to such matters.
The president, through a letter signed by the head of civil service, Felix Koskei, has also revoked the appointments of the chairman, Christopher Rono, and the entire team of board of directors. Others who have been suspended include Martin Wamwea, Lenson Kariuki, Dr. Paul Duya, Livingston Juguna, Dr. Charles Chege, Justus Kinoti, Cosmas Rotich, and Anthony Shege. Meanwhile, President Ruto has appointed Irungu Nyakera as the chairperson of KEMSA Board of Directors and Dr. Andrew Mutava as the acting CEO of KEMSA. The action by the president comes amidst serious concerns following the awarding of a multi-billion tender by KEMSA to a company that appears to be non-existent on the database of the Registrar of Companies, raising questions as to the authenticity of the supplier that was on the verge of winning part of a 3.7 billion shillings tender. The Kenya Medical Supplies Authority Evaluation Committee had assessed and found two companies, Shobika Impex and Patek East Africa Limited, fit to supply the mosquito nets. As such, on the Register of Companies portal shows that Patek East Africa was registered in June 2006 and is owned by two directors, Priska Chepleting and Wilson Joseph Kisa. Shobika Impex, however, is unavailable on the portal, the system returning a message with no business found matching your criteria. Questions abound as to whether this is a system error or whether the company has never existed, or were the details removed from the radar of public search. The Global Fund, however, was adamant that the two companies that KEMSA had settled on failed to meet mandatory documentation requirements and should not have proceeded to technical, financial and post-qualification phase. The procurement of mosquito nets has been a long and winding escapade involving the Ministry of Health, the National Treasury, KEMSA and the Global Fund, the sponsor. The bungled procurement process has now seen the Global Fund cancel the tender and offer it directly to its own procurement wing, Wambo, in a move that is expected to see KEMSA lose hundreds of millions of shillings in commission.
They say a new broom sweeps clean, and I really hope that as a new broom I should be able to sweep clean this ministry I have been involved in the decisions that have been made today. I have advised the President to the best of my knowledge as his principal advisor in this ministry. I've given my advice. And my role here is really to sweep and ensure that Kenyans get value for money.
The Ministry of Health had until 8th May to sign the handover documents to Wambo, but sources indicate that the ministry is declining to do so, leading to a stalemate that now threatens millions of Kenyans with contracting malaria due to the lack of essential commodity that is treated mosquito nets.